During Watergate, Nixon supporters tried to say that the special prosecutor, Archibald Cox, was a partisan Democrat, a political hitman who was out to destroy the Nixon presidency for partisan political reasons. When the George W. Bush administration created a lethal scandal with their claims about weapons of mass destruction in Iraq, Paul Wolfowitz at the Pentagon reportedly asked the CIA to investigate the top UN weapons inspector in Iraq, who had turned up no evidence of Saddam having any WMD. When the CIA's report came back without enough evidence to smear Hans Blix, Paul Wolfowitz reportedly went through the roof in response. He hit the ceiling. When the CIA itself sent an envoy to check out if Iraq was pursuing nuclear materials in Africa, the envoy found that Saddam was not doing that. The Bush administration nevertheless said that he was doing that. The Bush administration's response to the ensuing firestorm was that they fed the conservative media damaging material about that envoy who the CIA had sent to Africa, including the fact that his wife was a covert operative for the CIA. They named her. They outed her. And in the ensuing investigation into that, a sort of badass U.S. attorney named Patrick Fitzgerald got appointed as a special prosecutor to look into that outing of that CIA agent. And the Bush folks and their allies in the conservative media went after him, too. A guy named Bill Kristol went on Fox News and said this Patrick Fitzgerald, he's just a partisan. He's just out to politically wound the Bush administration. You know, in this current administration, we're used to this new president doing stuff his own way. He does stuff in kind of a crazy way for politicians, right? But going after the investigators who are looking into a president, who are looking into a scandal, trying to smear the investigators, that's not something that only crazy-seeming presidents do. That's something that normal political figures do and have done since the beginning of time. And we are now seeing a concerted effort on the right to try to attack former FBI Director James Comey and former FBI Director Robert Mueller. It's amazing to see the conservative media trying to destroy two former FBI directors. That is a hard sell. Beyond that, we've also seen a turn in the conservative media just in the past few days, where they have also started to attack the acting director now of the FBI, Andrew McCabe. And now here's the thing to watch that's happening in the United States Senate. In the U.S. Senate, it's the Judiciary Committee that's supposedly investigating obstruction of justice. Obstruction of justice, the question of whether, among other things, the president might have fired FBI Director James Comey as a way to try to stop or pervert the FBI's open investigation into various matters related to Russia. Now, this Judiciary Committee is apparently not getting its hands on the Comey memo about his interactions with the president. That's going somewhere else in the Senate. That's strange enough in its own right. But in terms of their own work in the Judiciary Committee, where they're supposed to be investigating obstruction of justice, we're now seeing the Republicans on that committee kind of start to go after the investigation itself in a way that hasn't really been picked up on. It hasn't really been widely reported today, but it's happening in plain sight. The Republican chairman of that crucial committee is Chuck Grassley, Iowa Senator Chuck Grassley. The head of the relevant subcommittee here is Senator Lindsey Graham of South Carolina. As of today, Grassley and Graham have sent a request to the FBI that the FBI hand over, look at this, all FISA warrants and requests for FISA warrants that the FBI had issued in their Russia investigation and in the investigation into whether or not the Trump campaign colluded with Russia in that attack. Hand over all the foreign surveillance warrants that you have asked for? Tell us what you have requested? I mean, that would be a really remarkable intrusion into the FBI's investigation, right? This is an ongoing investigation into the Russian attack and the possibility that there were Americans who helped with it. If in the middle of that investigation, the FBI has to hand over all of their draft requests for warrants, all of their requests for warrants, and the response they got from the courts they were requesting those warrants from, that would essentially lay bare everything they are doing in the middle of them doing it. This is a remarkable request. We have posted this letter to the FBI that Chuck Grassley and Lindsey Graham just sent today. We posted it at our website at mattoblog.com so you can see it. If you're interested in this stuff, check this out. This is weird. And you will see from the way they have written it that not only do they want basically to access all of the core materials from these ongoing FBI investigations into Russia, these warrants, they also appear to be driving at the question of why the FBI started its investigation into potential collusion by the Trump campaign in the first place. Remember, that FBI investigation started last summer, last July. These Republicans on the Senate Judiciary Committee are now asking about why you started that investigation, what you had, what did you submit to the court, how did you get your warrants? What they appear to be up to is basically trying to discredit the FBI for having started this investigation at all. What they're implying is that the whole FBI investigation all stemmed from that dossier of allegations against Trump and his campaign, that one that was published in BuzzFeed in January, the Christopher Steele dossier. They're saying implicitly that that dossier of materials is unproven and suspect, and that that's what the FBI's whole investigation is all based on. And therefore, it's all nonsense. President Trump is flamboyant and prone to outrageous seeming conduct, like threatening legal action against his political opponents, whether or not he eventually follows through on those threats. His Republican allies, though, including those who are supposedly leading some of the investigations into him, they are not flamboyant. They are not outrageous in the same way that he is. They do these things in subtler ways. But just do me a favor, look at this letter that we have just posted on our website tonight. You can see there in black and white and in blue signature at the end, you can see the Senate Republicans basically trying to take apart the FBI for having done these investigations of Trump at all. The attacks on the FBI are happening in the conservative media. They're happening from the White House. They are now happening in official correspondence to the FBI from the Republicans in the United States Senate who are supposed to be participating in this investigation on their own terms. Heads up on that. They are trying to stop this thing in its tracks before it comes to its conclusion. Heads up. We'll be right back.
Hey there, I'm Chris Hayes from MSNBC. Thanks for watching MSNBC on YouTube. If you want to keep up to date with the videos we're putting out, you can click subscribe just below me or click over on this list to see lots of other great videos.